Welcome back, everybody. In this video, we're going to learn about writing functions. We'll be using quite a bit of functions in the future lessons. It's very important for us to understand what they are and how to use them. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to create a new Python 3 notebook, and I will call this one 008 functions. Just click up here, 008 functions. Okay, so functions allow for modular code and code reuse, very important. To create a function in Python, we use the def keyword. Think of it as definition, coffeefunc, open close parentheses, and of course if we have parameters that we're passing, we'll be passing them in here. I'll have several videos possibly about the various types of parameters that we can pass and how they are, but don't worry, we will cover that. Notice there is the usual indentation to keep track of a block of code, and I can say something like print, coffee time. Of course, if I execute this, nothing happens. The function is actually created. Now I can actually call it, and it prints coffee time. What I can do instead of saying a print is to return a value. So if I take this def coffeefunc and instead of saying print, say return a string coffee time, that works just as well, but it's actually returning a value. And there is a benefit to this, as you will see. So if I do coffeefunc, I can do this. But what I can do now is I can literally first print it if I wanted to. And I can assign it to something. So I can say message is equal to coffeefunc. And if I take a look at the message, you can see it actually shows me the return value. Now we could return more than one thing. So if I do def tfunc and return tea time and let's say afternoon, and then call tfunc, you notice it returns a tuple. And this is pretty cool because I can actually say tfunc, and let's say I want the first element or the 0th element, I can do that, and it returns the first one. And if I do tfunc and look at the second subroutine, or the first, number 1, the afternoon is actually returned. And I don't really like these Windows notifications. I thought I'd turn them off, but apparently I didn't. Let's take a look at this. I can go in here and set message equal to tfunc. And I can do message 1, for instance, and it shows me the afternoon. So we have that. There is a special key in Python. It's called the pass keyword, and it basically means do nothing. And we will be using this. So if I create a function, def do nothing, and simply say pass, if I call do nothing, you notice, of course, nothing shows up. Okay, it basically does nothing in this case. We could try printing it, and if I print do nothing, what you get out is the word none, because there is nothing. We can daisy chain functions, that is, call them one after another. So I can say print coffeefunc, and we know what that does. That returns coffee time. But then I can use the dot notation and call the upper function that's built into Python to actually return the uppercase version of that. Let's actually take a look at working with some arguments so we get familiar with some, and we will be using this later also in various videos. So let's put in here working with arguments. I think it's a good place to actually do it as opposed to doing a separate video for it. So let's do coffee funk, and I'm going to pass to it a person. It's a variable name. You can call it whatever you like. I'm going to return coffee time for, and I'm going to put a placeholder here, call the dot operator for a string, and call the format method, and passing the person. Remember that this by default is where we put these little curly braces. This is going to get the substitution for it. Let's do a shift enter so the function is created, and let's do a coffee funk and pass to it, let's say Bugs Bunny. And it says it's coffee time for Bugs Bunny. Now keep in mind, if I actually do coffee funk with nothing, then I get an error message. It says one required positional argument person. So what I can do is I can take this function and actually give it a default values. I can say, you know what, your default value is Bugs Bunny. And then if I call coffee funk without a parameter, I actually get Bugs Bunny. But I can call coffee funk with a parameter, say Porky Pig, and it says coffee time for Porky Pig, as you can see. We also can do a variable length list of arguments, which is very cool. But it can get a little confusing. I'm going to do whatever I can to make it easy for you guys. So let's write a function. I'm going to again call this coffee funk. And we can pass two types of variable length list of arguments, and asterisk args. And traditionally, this is called args. It doesn't have to be. You can call it whatever you want. And then double asterisk KW args for keyword arguments. Okay, again, it's traditionally what's done. Normally, you don't have to. I mean, you don't have to call it this. You can call them something else. Let's actually do a print of both of these. And I'm going to make a note over here for later when you look at it. So the first one, the asterisk, is positional, and the double asterisks are keywords arguments. So positional args and keyword args. If you do this, you get basically, if I run coffee funk now, you just get an empty tuple and an empty dictionary. So this should give you an idea what they are working with. So the positional arguments actually work as a tuple, and the keyword arguments work as a dictionary. So for instance, let me go ahead and do coffee funk and pass to it Bugs, Daffy. So you can see I'm passing multiple items here, Porky. If I do a shift enter, you notice that all of them went into the positional argument, every single one. The very first one, the first variable length, which is positional. Nothing went into the keywords. This one was returned as empty still. Now, if I were to do coffee funk, let's say again, Bugs, Daffy, and Porky, but I'm going to now add a dictionary. So name is equal to Pete Puma, comma, age is equal to, let's say, 54. And do a shift enter. You notice the first three went into the positional argument, but the last one went into the keywords argument. So I'm going to make some notes over here. So the first three are positional arguments, and last two are keyword arguments. Some additional notes: positional arguments come as tuples, and keyword arguments are treated as dictionaries. Okay. Let's create another function, def tfunc. And I'm going to just give it a positional, variable length positional argument. So let's do this. And I will print the args. Let's call tfunc and pass to it Bugs, Daffy, and Porky. And you notice that it accepted all of them. Let's create another one. I'm going to call this one Hot Cocoa Func. And this one, I'm going to give it first a regular variable, person, equal to, let's say, bugs. And then I'm going to have a keyword arguments. So kw double asterisk args. I'm going to print kwargs here. So if I were to call hot cocoa, and I'm using the tab key to complete this in case you're wondering how I'm doing that, name is equal to Pete, and then last is equal to Puma, and age is equal to 54. Let's go ahead and see what this does. Notice it actually put everything in the keyword arguments. You know, the person was completely ignored because that's what I'm giving to it. And of course, I'm printing only the keyword arguments, just so we're clear on that. The order does matter, in case you're wondering. Your normal variables come first, then your positional arguments, then your keyword arguments. So if I had 5 parameters here and 3 of them were normal variables, I have to list those first, and then my positional arguments, then my keyword arguments. Let's create a list. Courses is equal to math, art, and coding. And let's create an information dictionary. Name, Bugs Bunny, and age, 55. I'm going to create a function, student info. I'm going to have a positional argument and the keyword arguments. I'm going to print the args and print the KW args. Okay. So, oops, I forgot to put my quotes here. Thank you, Python, for letting me know. Well, great. So now we are going to see if we can make this work. I'm going to call student info, and I'm going to pass to it the courses and the info. Now, I realize I told you this is working with tuples, but it can also work with lists. This actually doesn't work. Let's actually see it, though. You can see that what it did, it dumped everything into the tuple in the first one, the arg. So everything was dumped in there, the first element being this list and the second element being the dictionary. So unexpected, but this is what it does. What we do need to do is this and this operators unpack the list and the dict and pass the parameters. So I'm going to call student info, and I'm going to do an asterisk with courses and a double asterisk with info. So that unpacks and passes it. Now this is going to give us what we're after. So all the course elements were passed to the first positional argument, and the keyword arguments received the dictionary parameters that were being passed. This is all I wanted to cover for now for functions. I hope you enjoyed it. Please share with your loved ones and friends, and if you're enjoying these videos, pass the word around. Thank you very much for being a great audience. See you in the next one.